Hi, this is Anthony Lighthall. Thank you for joining me today on this podcast entitled From Dreams to Actions, where we talk about business goals, supporting positive energy, and following your dreams. On today's episode, I want to talk about how to enjoy and take care of what you already have. Now, I have my notes here, so I'm going to be referring back and forth to my notes because I think this is such a great episode. And a lot of times we get kind of lost in the weeds of, we live in the world of upgrades and, promotions or deals, sales, buy one, get one free, type of society. And I specifically want to focus on the US. I'm well traveled. I've traveled to different parts of the world, and also parts of the country in the US. And it's just interesting to see how people live, what people appreciate, what they cherish, um, what they consume, what are their values. But I want to specifically focus on the US, not pick on the US, but I understand being an American that we are consumers and we live in abundance. We, buy big, buy large, types of items, and you go to different parts of the world, and a lot of times people appreciate just what they have, and it really goes a long way when I kind of see that. So again, I'm not saying all Americans are like this, but I do see it more here than some other, places that I've traveled to. And again, there's probably other places that buy larger than us or are more consumers than us as well. But I'm just speaking on being an American and living here and seeing, certain things that go on. And so I definitely wanted to put this together. And this could be for anyone, around the world, across the globe, to really understand how to appreciate what you have and really taking care of that. So, like I said, in this world of the advertisements and now with social media, another way to advertise and to show, oh, buy this and upgrade to this. It can be challenging. It can be very distracting. And I hope that this episode I can share, I'm gonna share some examples that I've seen and just certain things that I pay attention to, certain things I've been guilty of, you know, uh, in regards to consumption and learning how to appreciate what I have. So right out the gate, I just want to talk about, um, the obsession of upgrading and also like the joy of contentment. So, like I said, we'll take a step back, and the old saying goes as um, the grass is green on the other side, or sometimes people say the grass isn't greener on the other side. And if you're not familiar with that saying, is basically, let's say you live at your home and you have your yard and you're looking at somebody else's yard and you're like, wow, their grass is greener. They must do something different, or maybe their lives are looking better than mine because look at how brown my grass is, type of thing. So it's that kind of saying. But one thing I wanted to share was always understand that someone's looking at your grass as well. You may think, oh, my grass is browning in these areas, or I have these bad spots, or I have to treat my grass a certain way so it can be greener like my neighbors. But also remember that someone's grass isn't looking like yours, and they want to know what you're doing, or you may look like you have it all together. So while you're looking at somebody else and comparing or trying to keep up, someone else is looking at you that you don't even know about. So just some kind of something to think about as we continue on this discussion. Uh, but I feel as human beings, no matter where you are in the globe, around the world, we there's like this sense, and I don't know the scientific background on it, but there's some sense of pleasure and excitement when you get something new. It could be new shoes, a new outfit, that new car smell. I'm gonna talk about cars and give examples with that. That new car smell, that new home, um, the new cell phone. I'm gonna give cell phone examples as well, and upgrades. Is something about when you get something new, you're so like obsessive about it. You take so much care of it. You don't want anybody, borrowing it and things like that. And that, that's probably for the first month, maybe first 3 months, depending on that product. And then after that, you're kind of like, oh yeah, you can borrow it, or yeah, oh no problem. You need an outfit. Oh, we're like the same size. Here, borrow that outfit. So then it's like you don't appreciate, that item anymore, and you probably worked hard for it. It was probably a goal for you to buy it. It wasn't just like an impulse purchase. It was something that you saved up, you worked hard for, you worked overtime, you worked a side hustle, you focused. And now because it's kind of like, oh, okay, I got my use out of it. Now it's like you're not really taking care of it and appreciating it. And so now you're looking for that next upgrade, to that next item. And overall, I'm talking about items, but I'm going to go more deeper into this where it could be relationships as well. It could be friendships. It could be, dating someone or in a committed relationship, and you're looking for that next best person, and so that's something I wanted to talk about too. But overall, just right off the gate, talking about just the obsession of upgrades or something new, but then also like the joy of contentment and how to balance that out. Okay. Um, the other thing is the envy factor, being envious of others or almost borderline like jealous of certain things that they have. And you may take a step back and say, Anthony, I'm not envious. Like I just, if I want something, I get it. Or, I may visit my friend and they have a boat, and I'm kind of like, wow, it'd be so nice to have a fishing boat. I love going out to the lake, but I'm not like envious or jealous of them. But if you go out and purchase that, bro, use the example of a boat, and you can't afford it, you probably don't have the time, you're not even close proximity to a lake, or you just work a lot, then you are becoming kind of envious because you're seeing what this person has. It's shiny, bright, nice object. And now you're like, oh, let me get that. And you probably honestly can't afford it. You have other responsibilities you should probably be focusing on. So what the envy part of this section is, it's a very powerful emotion, and it can make you make decisions that you probably wouldn't have made if you didn't see this bright shiny object that is like wowing you, and you're like, you say I need that, but it's really I want that. And I'm gonna go into that deeper too, what needs and wants, so stay tuned for that. But the envy factor, just be very very careful of that. It's not, again, outspokenly being jealous and envious, like, oh, why do they have that boat? They don't deserve that. How did they get that? It's more of like, oh, I'm gonna get it too. I'm gonna go ahead and buy that too. Or you're gonna buy something bigger than what your friend has, in the boat sense. So, uh, this fuels upgrades. This fuels almost like that competition, wanting to compare yourself with others, whether these are, loved ones or friends or just people you're talking to at work that are sharing, something they bought or something they have. So again, just really be mindful of the whole envy factor, in that sense. I want to share an example of your network. I mentioned this with the envy factors, your network, your associates, people you connect yourself with. Be mindful of your friends and things like that, because you want to avoid any of that type of competition. As a lot of people say, is keeping up with the Joneses. And I'll just kind of break this term down if you're not familiar with it. Keeping up with the Joneses is like this fictitious family, or couple that looks like they have it all together, and they have the toys, they have the big house, they have the his and hers, Mercedes G Wagon, they take lavish trips, and you may not, you are living comfortably, but you're not on their level. So you're always looking at them like, oh, I got to keep up with the Joneses. Maybe they invite you to fancy dinners or to different events, and you may not be able to afford to go to those, but you want to keep up with them. You kind of want to rub shoulders with them. So, keeping up with the Joneses isn't just a family that you don't know, or maybe just friends across the street. It could be loved ones. It could be, people that you're really close to, or people you grew up knowing. And, just to kind of think about that and be conscious of that as well. Um, I'll share a personal example of credit cards. And these individuals I know, they're friends, they're within my network, etc. And one person got like this credit card and it had all these perks and all of these benefits and things like that. And then the next person, got that card like, oh, I'm gonna get that card. And then long and behold, shortly after I got that card. Then by the time I got that card and I was using it and it was working out, it was a great, credit card and, there were the perks and I was taking advantage of things. Then that person, the first person upgraded and was like, hey, this next card, you thought that one had great benefits. Check this one out. It's got flight benefits and, check your bags for free and all this other stuff. And so it was the same cycle again. So the next person got that card, they upgraded, and then it's one of those like referral friends. So you can not share the points, but hey, I referred so and so. So the credit card company gives you bonus points and maybe even bonus points for that person that's opening that card and enticing you, and it's that promotion and that marketing that they do. And so again, then I got that card, and so long story short, it's one of those. I look at that card, I still have it in my possession to this day, but I'm curious to know if those people that had the card that I was it was honestly almost like that envy, like, hey, I want to keeping up with the Joneses, factor for me personally. I wonder if they're still using that card or if they still have that card or if they canceled it because that card came with an annual membership fee. And so then I kind of think like, okay, well, let me weigh out, am I utilizing all of the benefits or are my benefits exhausting the amount that I'm paying yearly. So I kind of go back and forth on that credit card, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't have got that card if it wasn't for me hanging out with my friends with this network. Not knocking them, but it was one of those I was keeping up. Um, so I just wanted to kind of share that basic example of me personally being guilty of this, where I'm keeping up and using a credit card that honestly I could have got something on the lower end, because I may not be utilizing all of the benefits with this one credit card that I got that was like years ago. So just wanted to kind of share that for a real life context. Um, but another thing with the network in the friends example with the credit card, I don't know how much they made. I don't know if they have dual income, with their significant other. And this goes for anybody. A lot of times we don't really talk about how much we make, no matter how close we are in friendship or as families. We don't really talk about money like that. Oh, I'm starting off making, 105 with a 10% bonus, or oh, I'm making 75,000 per year and we get incentives for however much we sell. We don't really like discuss that. That's more a personal thing with us. And I'm saying that because you don't know that person's situation. You don't know how much they're making. You're making 80,000. This person's making 160,000, base, and they're making double than you. So they're able to afford those things. And so you're trying to keep up when you honestly can't. So just kind of be mindful of that as well. Don't go asking people how much they make and, just kind of gauge off of that. No, but you just have to, really understand that maybe because that person has a Mercedes truck and a nice home, and their partner drives a Tesla or what have you, they may not really be making it in life. A lot of that is probably in debt, or they may have a high interest rate. I'll say with cars, this quick example with cars where this happens a lot, where someone pulls up in a nice car or a new car, and it doesn't have to be brand new, but it's maybe a couple years old. And a lot of times people are like, someone will comment like, "Oh, Brick's doing good for himself. You see that new truck he got? That's a nice truck. He's doing good for himself." But they don't really know that. They don't know how much Rick is making. They don't know. They weren't there signing the papers. They don't know if that's a lease. They don't know if that's a finance card. They don't know if Rick bought that car right out. Um, so, I think it's that perception where you buy, you consume, and that shows how much money you are making or how well off you are perceiving yourself. So really be mindful of that. Really think about that. One thing I'll close out with this example and we'll continue on is saying no saves you money. So don't be afraid to say no. You don't have to go on every trip that your friend or friends are inviting you to. You don't have to go out to every brunch. You don't have to do every single thing that someone's inviting you to. It's okay to say no. And if that person loves you and really cares about you and you have that relationship where it's like, you know what, there's three brunches, you invited me to, but I'm gonna just go to one. I'm really trying to focus on my finances right now, or I'm really trying to pay off debt, or I really don't have it. It wasn't a good month in sales, so I'm just gonna sit this one out. But I'm gonna see you all next month. That person's gonna appreciate it, or maybe they'll just say, "Hey, I want you to come. Don't worry about the money. I just want your company. I want you to enjoy it. It's an experience." Those people are the people you want to keep around. Those are the people that are gonna um, appreciate and understand your situation and your goals and your dreams and what you're trying to pursue. So again, don't be afraid to say no, because no can save you money. Okay, let's continue here. um, I keep mentioning about being mindful, and I want to talk about cultivating gratitude and mindful consumption. And you may take a step back and ask, well, how do I shift my mind to that, to start appreciating what I already have? Because I'm always just so used to kind of living in an abundance. When I think of abundance, I think a lot about clothes, people that like to go shopping, men and women, people that really like to dress nice. But, you can do that with one shirt and mix and match with different pants or trousers, or just have a couple blouses. You don't have to have five white blouses. You can just have one or two and just keep that rotation and really get the quality out of that instead of the quantity. So just mindful consumption, when it comes to that. Just looking at my notes here, pardon me. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Um, Understanding that like possessions and also relationships and lifestyle, um the bigger and the more consumption that you have with that, the more responsibility it comes with that. So the more clothes you have, the higher bill for your dry cleaning, or the more you're going to be using in energy for water and for dry cleaning, or not dry cleaning, but drying your clothes. When you have a consumption of so much, continuing on the example of clothes, um, kind of switching to that, as I mentioned, with upgrades and things of that nature, a car. A car is a huge responsibility. And an example with this is, someone's in the market for a new car. They currently have a car. It's working. Yeah, it goes to the mechanic here and there. It's an older vehicle, but it's something that is still sufficient for what they need for their everyday use. But they're driving, they see a billboard with maybe the same brand or model car, but in a um, newer model and with more bells and whistles. Oh, this car doesn't have push start. That one does. Oh, my car doesn't have, a certain high-tech alarm system. This one does. Oh, I don't have Bluetooth. I still have CD and cassette. This new car doesn't, or it has Bluetooth in this new car. So it's really like that new shiny, the bells and whistles is really attracting that person who's currently in a car that's really satisfying their lifestyle and saving the money, because that car's probably paid off. They have no car note. Their insurance is probably not as high. But long story short, they're tempted. They go in. They're finding excuses to buy. I'm just gonna look. I'm just gonna look. Don't ever go into places and say I'm just gonna look, because you're probably gonna walk out with something. Because when you go there, those people are there to sell. Okay, so that person, they go in there. They say I'm just gonna look, and then they come out with this new car. Now they have a new car. Maybe it's not a brand new car. It's a couple years old, maybe 3 years old, but they have a new car. It's that excitement and that pleasure of that new car smell, and you have this new car. You know, when people get new cars, they drive around, they're just driving, they're burning gas already. Uh, or they're calling people up, their friends, their daddy, their favorite auntie, hey, come outside, let me show you something. And they got a new car. Hey, let's just drive around. Let's drive around. They're talking about the new car and stuff. Um, so they got a new car. They're just driving around burning gas. They have a car note now. Their insurance is higher. Um, their maintenance may be higher if they don't have a warranty or something like that, because maybe the vehicle's bigger, or maybe it's a newer model, so now it's um, maybe the parts are more expensive, because of the year of the vehicle. It's all of these things. So what I'm saying is, when you upgrade and get something new and something better, whether you deserve it or not at that time, also be expected to pay the post cost. So after you purchase, what how much is it to maintain it? Can I keep up with it? Okay, so I just wanted to kind of share that example with the new car. Again, just being mindful and appreciating what you have in that mindful consumption as well. Okay, you could also, just continuing with more examples. You could also think about a house. You know, purchasing a home, you've always lived in an apartment or a condo, and now you have a home where you're responsible for everything. You don't have a tenant or an association paying for certain things. You're cleaning the gutters. You're finding someone to clean the air ducts, for your AC and your heat in the unit. You have a house, so now you're cleaning and taking time to clean, all these rooms you have, or a larger kitchen, or you're hiring somebody to do that. So there's a lot of costs associated, going from apartment to house, or, a smaller unit, 2 bedroom to a five, bedroom, establishment. Uh, I'll even say owning a pet. I'll specifically talk about owning a dog. I always say owning a pet, especially a dog, is like having a kid. It really is. And I'm not a pet owner, I'm not a dog owner or have kids, but from what I see from people and what I observe, it's a human, pretty much. A fur baby, as a lot of people call their dogs, they call their babies, so, or their puppies. Um, you have to, feed the dog. You have to, if you're going on vacation, who's going to watch the dog, or who's going to house sit? The dog is sick, maybe they have a bad stomach virus. You got to take them to the vet, insurance, all of that stuff. It's like having a person, and, probably training to get them, obedience training, getting them trained, a whole bunch of things. So there's a lot of examples I can provide with this, with when you buy something, understand the costs associated with the maintenance and the upkeep with it. Okay. Um, I'll say this too, the small quote. If you can afford to purchase it, you can afford to maintain it. Last thing with the car, because cars are such a great example for this. There's times where someone finds a vehicle, let's say a Mercedes. Okay, it's in great shape. Um, it's not brand new, but maybe it's 7 years old or so. But it's a great, vehicle, and it's a Mercedes. It's more of like the high end. And this person, using an example, this person gets um, a good deal on this car, and they're not going to a dealership. They're buying it from like a private owner, but this person they do know, and so this person just kind of wants to get rid of this car, um, and they give them a good deal. And so they get this new car and they're like, wow, I got a Mercedes at, maybe 10,000, $15 below market if I were to go to the dealership. But what they fail to realize is that it's a Mercedes. You go into the dealership, $500, probably just to look at it. New tires, $1,000, $200 or $250 per tire. Oil changes, maybe $100. Everything's just increased because that mechanic or that dealership is like, oh, this person's got a Mercedes. They got the money to maintain it. Not knowing this person got a great deal on this Mercedes and got it from a close relative or friend that was kind of giving that vehicle away to them at such a great deal. So that's something to really think about too. I think that's a great one where you're buying something that's flashy and it's like, wow, you drive a Mercedes or you drive a Tesla or whatever the car is, but also understand the costs associated with now you're in that certain status of that vehicle. So now you're viewed as you have the money to maintain it. So kind of think about that. So I'm gonna say that again. If you can afford to buy it, then you can afford to keep it, you know. So think about that. So let me share some tips on how you can continue to embrace and enjoy what you have without being an impulse shopper or going in and saying, I'm just going to go look. I'm not going to buy anything. I'm just going to the store to look. So let me share a couple of tips. It's about five of them that I have here. First one is count your blessings and not your problems. Let me revert back to what I said in the beginning about the grass is greener or the grass isn't greener on the other side, and someone else is looking at your lawn saying, oh, they look like they have it all together. So for you personally, stay in your lane and stay focused, but also count your blessings and not your problems. Who cares your car is 10 years old? Hey, it's running and it gets you to work and it gets you to pick up your kids to and from school and you haven't had any issues. Yeah, there's a billboard for a new car that's the same make and model of yours and it has all these bells and whistles, but do you really need that right now? Just ride that car out until the wheels fall off because someone's looking at your car and saying, "Wow, that would be an upgrade for me if I had that vehicle." You know, I wish that person sold that vehicle to me. So really think about that. Count your blessings and not your problems because someone's always, looking at you and wanting what you have. Again, whether it's in relationships, friendships, your network, a vehicle, your house, your family, and the upbringing and how you're leading your family, someone's always looking at that and cherishing that and kind of wanting that as well for themselves. Next one, mindful consumption. Uh, I'm going to talk about two things here: needs versus wants, and then I'm going to talk about assets versus liabilities. So, needs and wants. I was talking about, I forgot what I was mentioning. Oh, the boat. So, oh my gosh, I need this boat. I love fishing. I love going to the lake. I need this boat. You don't need it, you want it. Like I said, you're in no proximity to a lake. You're probably like an hour, maybe an hour and a half out to a really good lake where you're going to be able to enjoy this boat. You work all the time. You're always working overtime. And maybe you don't even have the money to be buying a boat cash. You're going to be financing it. So now you have your car note, you have your mortgage, and now you have a boat. Really think about that before you say I need a boat. Get your life in order, get your finances in order, and then treat yourself as you feel suitable. If you can take care of it. So using that boat example, it's a need, it's not a want. Or excuse me, it's a want, it's not a need. I'm gonna say that again. Having a boat, it's a want, it's not a need. Now needs is maybe you have a side business or have a business and I need this new machine because if I get this new machine, it's going to help with efficiency and help with better product design and product building, and then I can focus on the customer service and I can focus on these things. So if I get this machine, it's going to have a long-term effect, a positive effect, and also produce better and probably faster cash flow for me. So I need this machine. When you break down the numbers and you figure out all the financials and everything like that, it probably is a need and it's a upgrade. It's something great that's going to benefit you in the long run. So hopefully that makes sense with the needs and wants. I don't want to continue beating this horse with examples. Let's focus on assets and liabilities. It's almost like the same thing. So an asset is something that appreciates in value over time, or it's an investment that you're really going to be using continuously, and it's going to have uh, long term growth or long term, losing my train of thought here, usage, I'll say, versus a liability is something that you purchase a car, a depreciating asset where you're constantly uh, putting money into it, getting it fixed, taking care of it, and it's not making you money. It's losing value actually over time, unless you can have the argument of I'm a I'm a car collector and I collect muscle cars or rebuild them, or I buy cars from the junkyard, I rebuild them, and then I sell them, or I hold on to them and they hold their value. That's a different conversation. I'm just saying the average sedan you're buying off the lot, now you drive it off. I think the ratio is like 30 or 50%. It's worth now when you drive it off the lot. So cars are really a terrible investment, but we need them, to get to and from, places. And there's a whole argument with that. What I'm saying is assets versus liabilities. Liabilities, you're constantly putting money into it. It's really not appreciating value. Asset is something appreciating value. You're investing your money into it, but you're seeing the return on investment, the ROI of it. So again, mindful consumption, I said a lot here. Needs versus wants, and then assets versus liabilities. Let's continue. Quality over quantity. I mentioned this with clothes. Clothes is a great example. Um, you buy all these clothes, you have different jeans, you have all these boots, these shoes, hats, all of these things. You're one person. How many times are you wearing these things? I know you want to dress to impress, and dressing nice adds confidence. I understand that. But there's a lot of ways that you can mix and match. There's a lot of ways of, you have all these clothes. You ever heard of people, you're at a friend's house and they're looking for something to wear that night or that day, and they pull something out and it still has the price tag on it, and they're like, I forgot I had this. It's like you need to start doing an inventory check on your clothes because you have too much of consumption. If you have clothes that have tags on them still and you bought them a year ago, that's ridiculous. Do an inventory check on your clothes. I do this and I've done it, and it makes me feel so good when I'm giving clothes away and just getting it out of my closet and really condensing my space, my footprint in my room. I love it. But do an audit check on your clothes and look at what do you want to get rid of. What is kind of wearing and tearing? It's got holes. Throw it out. Get rid of it. Stop sewing it together. I always do. I always do a thing. This is getting personal. I always do a thing where I buy if I'm going to buy new shoes or buy new clothes or new jeans, in my mind, I'm automatically thinking about what I'm going to get rid of in my closet or what shoes I'm going to throw out. Or, I like to go to the gym and work out. So, my gym shoes, they wear and tear quicker than probably like dress shoes or other shoes. So I'm already thinking about, oh, okay, my cushion doesn't feel right, with the ergonomics of my shoes. I'm gonna get rid of these shoes and I'm gonna buy new ones. So it's like that inventory is coming in. I'm not keeping these old shoes and then I got these new shoes because I want these old shoes just in case. No, get rid of it. Take an inventory of your closet. Everyone do it. Take time to do it and really go through your closet and look at what are you wearing? What's a favorite outfit? What are some things you can mix and match? What are clothes, blouses, jeans, trousers, shirts that are like the same color or similar in color, but what's your favorite? And get rid of the ones that you're not always wearing. Okay, I'm just gonna get off that. So quality over quantity. Um, just think about clothes. Why do you have an abundance in a quantity of all of these clothes when you could really scale it down and really appreciate the quality of the clothes that you have and continue that cycle of consumption with those clothes. Next one, maintenance and care. I mentioned this with the car. I mentioned this with the house. The post purchase, the maintenance and the care and taking care of what you have. When you take care, what's the saying? When you take, actually with the car, you take care of your car will take care of you. Now, some people can argue and put their arms on their hips and fold their arms. No, because my car is always in the shop and it's always the water pump and I always got to get brakes changed and stuff like that. But overall, just take care of what you have. I don't care if it's a bicycle. Take care of it, and then later on, I believe, and I think I'm going to get into this later, where I believe you take care of what you have, you're going to be blessed with other things, larger things that are going to focus more of your responsibility and focus because you were able to take care of this small thing. Now you're going to have something bigger in the future. So the care and maintenance, just take care of what you have and really appreciate what you have. Shine up that bike, even if it's old, or shine up that scooter or that old car, old is in quotes right now, old car, and really take care of it. Don't don't get caught up in the salesperson's web. Again, I'm just going in to look. Um, I don't need a new car, but I just want to check that out. I just want to test drive that car. Or I'm going into that store. I don't need new clothes, but I like that mannequin. I like, ooh, look at that outfit they put together. I'm just going to go and look. Those vultures are waiting for you, and you're the person they're looking for. You go on to just look, you're coming out with bags. You go on to just look, you got a new set of keys. So think about that, people. Don't get caught up in the salesperson's web. The billboards, the commercials, the social media, all of that. I'll even talk about let's hit a trigger here, hit a nerve. I'll even talk about education. There's a huge debate right now. I'm filming this in September of 2023. Huge back and forth with, should you go to college? Should you not? Should you just take certification classes or boot camp? Or should you not? Should you just start your own business? What do you do? And a lot of times I notice this so much with education, and I have a bachelor's and an MBA as well. And education, I can recall when those advisors or the people that are selling that school or selling that program, they're salespeople. And I remember being sold on how much I would make when I get, my MBA, or, how it's going to get me to a certain level and elite status and all this other stuff. And a lot of that is kind of bullshit. Excuse me for that. I usually don't curse on my podcast, but it is. It's usually bullshit. They're salespeople. And nowadays, with people being influencers on Instagram or YouTubers and starting their own business on other platforms or other things that they're doing and honing in on their talents, it's like, do you really need an education nowadays? Now, I'm not knocking it and not saying not to get it. Maybe if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a professional level of some sort where you do need that education. I back that a 1,000%. But you really have to think about that. With education, there's always something, oh, get this, you know, master's degree or this certification in this, and, be around a professional network and this and that. Really think about that with education. Really take a pause and think about that if you are in limbo or you don't know what you want to do after high school and college, or after high school, if you want to go to college or not. Like, really think about what you want to do, and does that really involve a higher education? Are you savvy enough to figure out things on your own and really create, your own business or your own brand? Think about that. I'm not going to continue on with that. I may even do um, a separate episode for that and have it open for discussion. But education's another one that sells. They want to get enrollment numbers and get that tuition and all the other good stuff. Okay, so um, a couple other things before we wrap up. I wanted to go back to the counting your blessings and not your problems. And I was kind of comparing, like, you have um, an apartment, you go to a house, you're moving into a house, you have a bicycle, now you have a car. A couple of other examples I wanted to share was, even going back to living spaces, your living quarters, you're living at home, with a grandparent or your parents or what have you, and you have your room. This is your responsibility, is your room. You always hear about the parents, Timmy, clean up your room, and all that stuff, and shoving all your shoes and, your sports cards and all whatever you collect under your bed and things like that. You have to take care of what you have. This is your room. This is your 100 or however size your room is, 100 square feet room. Take care of it, because that's going to prepare you when you move out of the house, whether you have roommates or you have your own full place, to take care of this apartment. And then from there, you take care of maybe a townhome. And then from there, you take care of a home. And now you have lawn care. Now you have to take care of the roof. And now you have to, wash those dishes or mop the floor and sweep and all this other stuff. So if you can't take care of a room, in someone else's house who's probably paying the mortgage, your parents or whoever, how do you expect to take care of an apartment? How do you expect to take care of a house? So make sure that you're mentally ready for that. So that's really like the blessing. Take care of this small thing here, and then later on you're going to be ready for the big thing that's really going to take a lot of your resources and money and time, and know how to budget and do that. Same thing with a pet. I talked about having a dog is like having a kid. So you start off with a goldfish. Take care of that fish. Feed that fish. They're low maintenance. Feed them, clean out the tank, put in the new, I think it's like the gravel or like marbles or whatever in the fish bowl. And maybe you get a couple other more fish. And then you take care of that and clean that out and all this other stuff. It shows responsibility. And then over time, maybe you get other pets in between that. And now you're ready for a dog. And because you mentally were ready and prepared yourself to take care of something that's not you, and it's selfless. You're able to understand how to not be selfish and know how to take care of a small pet such as a goldfish, and now you've worked your way up to a dog or a cat or whatever, a horse. Some people own horses, whatever to that. So that I wanted to kind of share those comparisons and kind of help paint that picture for you as well. um so last thing I'll say is a lot of times I feel that we neglect the joy of owning something. We don't give it the attention that it deserves. When it comes to ownership, when it comes to that phone that you brought and you saved up for and you worked overtime at that retail job or that call center, when you bought that vehicle 10 years ago, that was a huge lift for you. When you were a first time home buyer and you brought that condo, take care of it. So make sure you give what you own and possess the attention it deserves, because it's just going to help prepare you mentally for greater things that you're going to be blessed with later on. In conclusion, just to wrap up here, is we're going to continue to be encouraged to buy and upgrade, and there are going to be times where we need to do that. People aren't walking around with Blackberries or walking around with Nokia phones or walking around with flip phones. You do got to stay up with the times, but don't get too far out there. Get something that is suitable for you, for your finances. Focus on you. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Don't worry about how much your friends are making or how much your cousin that's just a couple years older than you is making, and they bought, this Tesla or G Wagon. Don't worry about that. Worry about you. Take care of what you have. Um, again, it involves more than just material things, but also just the relationships you're cultivating, the network of people that you are surrounding yourself with, and just make sure you cherish those people and cherish those things that you have in your possession. And, just be gracious, practice gratitude. Again, I'm going to say, do a little audit check on your closet and get rid of those clothes you're not wearing, or start wearing those clothes that have a price tag on it, or give those clothes that have a price tag on it away, for the holidays, or just gift it to somebody because it still has a price tag. You probably haven't worn it. So, again, I'm just going to wrap up here. I hope that this was useful. I thought this was a great episode, and I really wanted to share it, with everyone. So, like, share, comment. I'd like to hear, your thoughts or other examples on certain things. And as you know, always remember to follow your dreams.